if you are planning to retire from the federal government and work in the private sector, whether it be part-time, full-time, or self-employed, there are some critical things for you to understand on how working in your federal retirement will impact your benefits throughout your retirement. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dallin Haas. I'm a financial planner. I serve retiring federal employees every single day, and I love it. So let's talk about how working in retirement as a federal retiree will impact your benefits. Some of the benefits will be impacted directly. Other benefits will be directed or will be impacted by the second order impacts of your job. Now, before we get into how each one of these benefits are impacted, I have to say, obviously, there are benefits for working in retirement. One of the big benefits being, hey, look, you don't need to, let's say, draw from TSP. You have extra money. We like extra money. And so maybe you're allowed to or able to let your TSP continue to grow. There's some great perks. However, let's talk about some of the downsides. Number one, your supplement. This benefit has lots of different names: the FERS supplement, annuity supplement, Social Security supplement. You know what it is. It's for those federal employees that retire before 62 with a full retirement or a VERA. And it is in addition to their pension. It's a extra benefit. And this supplement has an earnings test. What that means is if you are just retired, you don't work another job, you're just strictly retired, you will get the full FERS supplement, no problem. No problems at all. However, if you go out and work a job, whether part-time, self-employed, whatever, if you go make money, you have what they call an earnings limit. This year is $23,400, which means if you make less than that, if you make 20 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, anything under that number, then the FERS supplement is not impacted at all. However, the moment you make more than this, more than $23,400, for every $2 you earn over the limit, they're going to reduce your FERS supplement by $1. So, for example, if you make $10,000 over this limit, you make $33,400, your FERS supplement will be reduced by $5,000 the next year. So really quickly, if you make 50, 60, 70,000, your supplement is probably down to zero. And how this works is every single year, the government will send out these surveys, they call them, where they'll ask you about, hey, did you make money last year? And then July of the following year, they're going to adjust your supplement based on your earnings. That's how that works. So your supplement directly will be impacted if you work a part-time or full-time. You make money over the $23,400 limit in retirement. And actually, Social Security actually has the same earnings limit. However, Social Security only has this limit between 62 and your full retirement age, which for most people is about 67. So if you start Social Security early, which by early, they mean anytime before your full retirement age, which again, for most feds is 67, and you're working another job, they have the same exact earnings limit. If you make over $23,400, they're going to reduce your Social Security for every $2 you make over that. So if you're planning to take Social Security early and work a job, that may not be a good combination. Maybe for Social Security, maybe choose to delay Social Security. Wait till you're done working, or at least done making more than $23,400 a year. So those are some of the impacts that are impacted directly, where if you make money in retirement, your Social Security or your FERS supplement may be reduced. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this earnings test for the supplement does not apply to basically special provision federal employees. You know who you are. You are law enforcement, air traffic control, firefighters. You know who you're. It doesn't apply to you before age 57. Okay? So, for example, many of you can retire, let's say at 50, early. There is no earnings limit on your supplement before 57, but between 57 and 62, even special provisions have this earnings limit. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, here's the next question. How does working in retirement impact your pension? So far, we just talked about your supplement and Social Security. How does it impact your pension? Your pension will not be reduced because of working a job. It doesn't. You will get the pension for the rest of your life, even if you work the entire time throughout retirement. However, one thing that could change your pension while working a job is your tax bracket. Is your tax bracket. As you know, your pension, for the most part, is taxable income. Meaning, just like out of your paycheck, they need to withhold some money for taxes. They send it straight to the IRS. And if you're out working another job, making big bucks, right? If you're making a bunch of money, then your tax bracket and everything, all your income may need to have more taken out for taxes because of this extra money. So your pension after the withholding may be a tad smaller, not because they have an earnings test like supplement or Social Security, but just because overall your tax bracket may be higher. And so you may want to withhold more. Now, you'll still end up with more money overall by working, right? Working will always mean more money overall. It's just there will be some things that will be impacted, and it's important to know that, okay? Now, what about TSP? I mentioned this earlier, but TSP, fortunately, doesn't get impacted. Again, does not get impacted by working a job, unless, of course, you're taking money out of TSP, which for most people, most federal employees, TSP is on the traditional side, meaning it's pre-tax. So if you take withdrawals, you have to pay taxes. So you face the same problem that your pension faces, where you may need to withhold a little bit more for taxes if you're making a whole bunch of money working a job. Your tax bracket may be higher. Now, last but not least, what about your health insurance? Is your FEHB, your federal employee health benefits, is that impacted by working a job in retirement? The short answer is no, not directly. It's not directly. For example, if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan and you just keep that plan like normal into retirement, even if you're working for a different employer, great, no problems. However, Medicare can be greatly impacted by working a job in retirement. If you didn't know, now I've got whole videos on Medicare, whether you need it or not, you can check those out. But if you happen to have Medicare premiums, basically what you pay to be on Medicare, is based on your income. The more money you make, the higher the premiums are. That's how it works. Now, fortunately, it doesn't impact everybody. For example, as a married couple, it's about $200,000, where if you make less than $200,000 total as a married couple, then your Medicare premiums aren't impacted at all. So, for example, if your normal retirement income is $100,000 in retirement, you go take a part-time job, you make $50,000, then you're still under this $200,000 limit, so you're good to go, right? As a single person, it's closer to $100,000, right? So, long story short, the cost to be on Medicare goes up potentially depending on how much you're making. If you just Google Medicare Part B premiums chart, you'll find the chart where it says, look, this is your income, this is your premium. It'll walk you through it. And the premiums can go up significantly once you start going over these limits. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So those are the big ways that your federal benefits are going to be impacted by you working in retirement. Again, I don't want to ignore the benefits, though. Obviously, you work in retirement means more money. It means maybe you don't need to deplete TSP as fast. It means maybe you can actually save into more investments. Maybe your employer has a 401k or you could use an IRA. You could put money aside. Working in retirement has its perks, 110%. But you have to know what the downsides are as well and make sure it makes sense for you. So I hope that's helpful. Now, if you want help with your federal retirement, check out the description. Our firm, we help feds retire and maximize everything they have in retirement every single day, and we love it. So I hope this is helpful. Have a great day. See you guys in the next video.